We are the Youth City Lab Coalition, and we are excited to be here today to share a case study of our collaboration across 4 youth-serving organizations. I am Galen Mack, a past Angel Award recipient and the proud executive director of the Big Buddy program, one of the 4 partnering agencies. I'm not here in person today because our family is in last child graduation mode, and today was senior mass. Later today, I'll be out at Crawfish King, downtown Baton Rouge. I want to thank my YCL family for allowing me to join by video. Big Buddy program is in the relationship building business. For over 50 years, we have led the community in connecting young people to positive adults, organizations to schools, and the community to resources. We are one of the original resource liberators. We understand that this work cannot be done alone. You need partners. We choose every day to work together with others. Partnerships, collaborations, coalitions, consortiums fuel the power of the Big Buddy program. To the YCL collaboration, we bring experience, networking resources, and expertise in relationship building. Thank you for being here today, and I hope our story inspires your work. Take it away.
Good morning, good morning. My name is Dustin LaFont. I'm the Executive Director for Front Yard Bikes and a past Angel Award recipient. And as you can tell, I'm a teacher because I can't stay on that stage with everybody on the floor looking at me like that. So I had to get on your level and let's learn something new today is what we got to do. At Front Yard Bikes, we're a community bike shop and youth workforce development nonprofit that teaches mechanics, gardening, welding, and cooking classes. Our mission is to see that every child has a safe space to realize their intrinsic worth and be able to learn, grow, and build.
Hi, everyone. See, here we go. Hi, everyone. My name is Dr. Anna West, and I'm the Executive Director of Humanities AMPS, one of the 4 organizations in the Youth City Lab Coalition. I co-created Humanities AMPS with my partner and Angel Award winner, Destiny Cooper. And what Humanities AMP does is we create an ecosystem within a high school community, at Broadmoor High School here in Baton Rouge, that supports positive youth development both inside and outside of school. And then we position young people to work alongside adults to be agents of community change, to promote youth well-being throughout our community. What we bring to this collective, to this collaboration, is our expertise in restorative practices, arts and civic engagement, and experience leading collaborative teams. Our work is proven to be effective. The young people in our programs graduate from high school at a 30% higher rate than their peers without any kind of selective admission. So, it works, it's evidence-based.
Is this, yeah. Hi, I'm Lucy Pereira. I'm the program director and co-founder of Line for Line, along with the Angel Award winner O'Neill Curtis, who is right now in his barbershop cutting hair. Line for Line is a literacy program which began at O'Neill's barbershop and seeks to close the achievement gap for our city's youth by providing access to books written by and about BIPOC and other underrepresented groups. We develop and present creative programs both in schools and community sites, and we empower barbers as mentors.
My name is Philip St. Cyr. I'm a youth leader with the Youth City Lab Youth Council. And the Youth Council is a group of youth leaders who make important decisions about the policies and procedures of the Youth City Lab building. We represent the 4 coalition organizations and we work to ensure our peers feel welcome and listened to in this space. Being on the Youth Council allows us to strengthen our ability to lead, empower us to transform both our immediate environment and our large community.
Well, I will tell you our shared vision and mission, y'all, is that Front Yard Bikes, Humanities AMP, Line for Line, and the Big Party program all have very unique services in our own right, work with youth on a great level. But I was privileged to realize that we were sharing the same students. Somehow my students were able to be at Line for Line for a barbershop day and literacy class, and then when I went to school, I saw they were in a Humanities AMP class, and they were with Big Buddy during the summer doing workforce development. So we needed to find a way to collaborate. The Angel of Change Award made perfect sense for us to not only be able to get resources that we could share, but a shared facility that all of our youth don't have to travel from A to B to find us. They can come to one location and have all the same great services on a more consistent basis. So our purpose was to provide a dynamic shared space, an actual facility that you see up there of learning, connecting, and creating to inspire young people to realize their power and transform the world. We wanted to provide a consistent space for young people, and listen to me, run by young people.
When we were awarded the Angel of Change grant, we were thrilled. But the next thought was, how are we going to work together to do this? Over the first few months, we met weekly to create a shared vision and to write a written coalition agreement that outlined our name and our mission, membership guidelines, decision-making processes, meetings, fiscal structures, and processes for dissolution. These agreements are like a constitution that we refer back to as we move forward.
All right, so how you run a meeting matters. It really matters. So we're going to get a little bit into the nitty-gritty today, and we're going to hand you hopefully some tools that you can use. So one of the things that we were doing at Humanities Amped is we were really experimenting with, like, how do we have democratic meeting processes, particularly where young people and adults are partnering with one another. And so we brought some of those practices to the Youth City Lab Coalition and said, hey, can we try these out here? And so for the last 2 years, we have really been a laboratory for figuring out how to be collaborative in terms of our practices with one another. So we're going to go through some of those practices with you today. One of them, quite simply, is to rotate meeting roles. So the meeting roles that we have every time we meet is we have a facilitator, which could be any one of us. We have a note keeper. We have a timekeeper. Those are all pretty traditional roles. But another role we have is something called a culture keeper. So what a culture keeper does is in the beginning of the meeting, we do something called joyful practice, where they put in some kind of community building activity or prompt. And we use kind of a circle where we go around, and so these are literally the meeting notes. This is part of an agenda from our most recent meeting on Wednesday. And the joyful practice there is, what is your favorite summer memory or your favorite thing about summer? I think, who was that who came up with that one? Was that you, Phil? Yeah. All right, so Phil was the culture keeper. He came up with that. And so we just all go around and we pass the sort of talking piece. We take this from restorative practices and we call on each other. And what this does is it just creates a culture of inclusion, of relationships, of relationality, of like our relationships matter. I think, so too often in meetings, people rush right into the work and don't take time to build a culture of connection. Another thing that we do is at the end of each meeting, the culture keeper also facilitates a closing reflection. So the closing reflection is really important because it's a time for us to offer gratitudes to one another, to surface conflicts, to metabolize the things that we're learning together as a learning community. This helps us to center our personal responses and needs and allows us to celebrate one another and attend to those little interpersonal bumps in the road that always come up when you're working with people, right? I'm like, whoa, Dustin, that hurt my feelings, and now I have a space to say it, and we get a chance to talk about it, or, get to say, hey, Lucy, like, I'm really proud of how you led us today. That was really helpful, so those kinds of things really help us to move together as a team that has some solidarity.
Okay. So within our first few months of working together, we created a shared set of values and norms that we follow to drive our work and our collaboration together, and how we want to interact with one another at the meeting. So before each meeting, as you can see, we review these at the start of each meeting, and we highlight the ones that we want to activate and lean into that meeting. So just a few, at our most recent meetings we had on our capacity, give and have grace, and belief in the power of young people.
Okay, so We use Google Docs, and we really, really use them. And it was a whole learning curve for a few of us, including me, and I'm still learning. But what it provides is a space for us to keep a clear record of our meeting notes and action items that everybody can see and edit in real time together. In the column on the left, we set agenda items and time frames, and in the middle, we take notes. That's the note keeper will just be typing right in there. And in the right column, we record action items. Here's a snapshot of what it looks like from a recent meeting.
All right, so I'm going to talk about consensus-based decision-making. So one of the really important aspects of our success is that we have a really clear process for decision-making. We decided early on that we were going to use consensus-based decision-making. What this means is that we don't move forward on any decision that affects all of us unless we all agree that we're going to move forward. So for a decision to be made, a coalition member during a meeting, let's just say we're in the middle of a discussion or some agenda item, would surface a proposal. So once the conversation gets to a place where it's like, okay, well, this is how we might move forward, a proposal would be surfaced. So let's practice a little bit. So I wonder if anybody has a proposal for us this morning.
Would it be taken in the notes? It's gonna be real?
Yeah, we're gonna put it up.
Ms. Tatiana, take these notes down, okay?
All right,
I propose that we have coffee at all future meetings moving forward.
Okay, so as a facilitator, I'm going to say, okay, so I'm hearing a proposal. So note keeper and Ms. Tatiana. So Phil, if you could show Ms. Tatiana's notes up here for us all. All right, so we have a proposal to have coffee at all of our meetings. So what we're now going to do is we're going to poll to see where, what the will of the group is. So the way we do this is we ask for thumbs. All right, so we're gonna be interactive for a moment. I'm gonna ask for thumbs of everyone in the room. We're gonna do some consensus-based. So if you agree that we should have coffee at our meetings, yep, put your thumb up. If you are sort of like, I want to modify that, I actually have some other thoughts or ideas, you can do a sideways thumb. And if you're like, I will never tolerate coffee in this space at any time, and we need to absolutely, we're banning coffee, then put a thumbs down, and we know we got to do a lot of work. Okay. So look around the room and keep them up until so what we do is we say, let's hold those thumbs up until we can actually see. So I'm noticing that there's a lot of sideways thumbs around this room. As a matter of fact, Phil's got a sideways thumb. So Phil.
I don't drink coffee. Can we have juice?
All right, so there's a modified proposal. Phil said, I don't drink coffee. Can we have juice? So note keeper, Ms. Tatiana. Boom, thank you. So she has now revised our proposal. Have coffee and juice at our meetings is the revised proposal. All right, so now we're going to put this up for vote again. Okay, so we're going to thumbs up, sideways, or down to see if we have a consensus. So now, looking around the room, and look, this could take, I'm going to be honest, we will run way over our time if I take all your sideways thumbs. But look, we have all of our thumbs are up here. So what that means is consensus reached. And so what we do in our notes is we change it from proposal to consensus. So it's marked in our notes that we have a consensus. And then this is important. Don't forget this step. The next step is, Phil, if you could bring it to, is we ask ourselves, now how do we make this consensus actionable? Yep. So who's going to, I guess, who's taking the action item? You're going to bring coffee and Phil's going to bring the juice?
There we go.
All right. So then we'll record, so this is a simple process that we use. It is time consuming sometimes because we have to stop and consider all the points of view, but what it does is it makes sure that we really stay together as a unit. We have buy-in on decisions that we've made. We've internalized the process at this point. We're about 2 years into this work together. And so now, we can do it very naturally. We're in a discussion, we say, hold on, we need to make a proposal. I'm asking for thumbs, right? This is just part of our language and the way that we work together. And it's really kind of magical in the way that it helps us live. One of our norms is it's a practice, be a learning community, And so, as we practice these things, it strengthens our ability to trust in each other, to slow down, to make sure we have genuine buy-in on the things we're doing.
And there will be, I think, a moment for where we can break out in groups and talk. So those of you who tried to stop the coffee bill, I saw you. I saw coffee stoppers. We're going to have a restorative process at a table and talk about that because I kind of need that these days. But look, y'all, to tell the truth, we have been in this journey for the last 2 years. We've held weekly meetings ever since 2020. We have worked consistently to meet with our students, to work with our youth council. We hired a youth council coordinator to help us stay on track. We moved into the shared space after just finishing the first phase of 4 to complete the facility where we got our occupancy and we're able to begin some simple operation, at least meet there on a consistent basis. We have also written grants together, hired contractors together, and now we're beginning a capital campaign to raise the rest of the dollars necessary to make this building what it needs to be for our youth, which means up to par with our youth. And if you know who our youth are, they deserve the best. So we're going to be chasing that for a long time, right? But lastly, I'll share this work requires consistent collaboration and transparency, and we have to honor each other's capacity. All of this sounds like a bunch of kumbaya stuff to some of y'all who are like, nope, it doesn't work like that in my groups. And I'm telling you, we have our good days and bad days, and we have to really continuously surrender to work together.
Thank you once again for allowing me to contribute through this medium. You know, you must enter into collaborations with the understanding that they are learning environments. You have to be open to new ideas. You have to take time to share understandings, and you have to be committed to the purpose. Here are just a few of our lessons learned through this process. You know, we all knew that going into the collaboration, we had strong partners. All of us are successful, well-known, well-respected, and we had the young people to prove our work. What we didn't expect, however, was the number of roads that were taken to get us to the point we were. We had to respect and accept the diversity in delivery, the diversity in experiences, and in the needs of each organization in order to strengthen our collaboration. You know, you don't enter into conflict with a spirit of defeat, or do not prepare to run away. That's what we had to learn. You know, conflict does not have to result in decline. Stand up to it, walk wide awake and ready to gain the rewards of the battle. Conflict is not predetermined to end negatively. As one of our norms, we have give and receive grace. We didn't know, but this is actually actionable. We have demonstrated this by navigating around the hectic schedules of our individual organizations and obligations of the executive directors. Case in point, relationship building is paramount. Collaboration is hard work. And to be successful, you must, at the heart, love the people you are working with. Love develops through relationship building. For Youth City Lab, we are in it to win it, because there are young people depending on us to model for them what community looks like, so they can continue to make our community a place where we all want to live our lives. Thank you for this opportunity, Blue Cross Blue Shield, and thank you very much for your early support and continuing support of the work at the Youth City Lab.
All right, y'all, we have one last thing. One last thing is some homework. We have our website for what Youth City Lab, where we're at, what we're doing. Please go check it out and take a look. And lastly, if you are staying in Baton Rouge tonight and you're looking for something good to do, it is Hot Art Cool Nights in Mid-City. And we're located in the Mid-City, so you know we're going to be open from 6 to 10 at night. Come by to say what's up, see what's going on, see the actual facility that we're trying to transform. Give us your feedback and ask us the real hard questions, because we'll be there hanging out trying to do that tonight. And with no further ado, that's our presentation. We're here to hear questions.
Right on time. Let's give it up for Youth City Lab. Okay, we have time for a few questions, so if you have one, just put your hand up. We'll come to you. Yes, Mr. Mahoney in the back.
I had two questions. One is inconsequential. We can deal with it later. Dustin, where's my bike? Second, how do you facilitate at scale, right? So that's a process that seems to work when there's 4 or 5 people. You have 10 or 20 partners. How do you navigate that?
One of the things that we didn't get into in the presentation, because we're like, this is going to take forever to explain, is that in reality, we only have 5 votes that count. And those are not individual people, but they're organization votes. So Humanities Amped has a vote, Line for Line has a vote, Front Yard Bikes has a vote, Big Buddy has a vote, and the Youth Council has a vote. So there are 5 votes. So if it's complicated, what we have to do is we have to retreat into our organizational teams, achieve our own decision through whatever process we want to use, and then come back and speak as with one voice so that ultimately there's 5 entities making that decision together. And so we've also distinguished a little bit between the difference between using thumbs to poll and using thumbs to actually officially make a vote. So in other words, there are times when we're like, we just need to get the temperature right now. Is this something that most people agree to? A lot of people won't speak up when they have a reservation. They won't say it in the discussion. And so it's really like the physicality of my thumb is here lets us know, okay, well, if we have a lot of sideways thumbs, we know we need to create an ad hoc committee that's going to go back and work on that proposal and invite people with sideways thumbs to go work on that. So, a facilitator has to have the skillfulness to make a decision. We're not going to get to consensus right now in this 10 minutes that we've made in this meeting agenda, and so we're gonna move to ad hoc committee for some things, and so it's just a way to sort of manage the messiness of that decision making.
Can I add something to that?
Yeah, please.
So when we first started meeting, it was a larger group, and so we had not just the 4 of us, but we had other members of our organizations, and our meetings were 2 hours. And it became kind of like we didn't have the capacity for it. So we actually had a facilitator come in and kind of work with us to figure out what would be a better model, and that this is a more sustainable model. We achieve this in one-hour meetings once a week, and then again break out when we need to do other things or bring in and then meet with the whole group once a month. But that was the change that we did. Anna, you go for that.
I mean, we had a retreat, so we had a facilitator for that retreat to help us so we felt like we had done a thing where we had committed out a lot, and decision making was getting really. We'd use what we were calling the snowflake model, where you sort of have a core group in the middle, and then we had a building committee and a finance and budget committee and a marketing committee, but decision making had gotten a little too diffuse, and so what we decided to do instead was, well, actually, you want to talk about the model that we shifted to at that point?
Sure. Well, we shifted to where there was a working group at the core, something that we called the atom. There's a working group right here at the center that's meeting every week to see action items are moving. And then we have the larger nebulous of everybody. And when I say everybody, that means all 30 of youth and directors and whoever supports those directors as their agencies, program managers, or board members. All of us come to one meeting once a month for 3 hours, and we're just going to really dig deep, right? But we want to have everybody at the table, nobody excluded, no curtain, if you know what I'm saying, no side conversations, because that's exactly what's starting to break us apart at that point, where I'm going and being like, what's going on in that committee? How'd they get to that decision? Wait, what's going on? I thought we already made a decision on this. So we decided, let's go back to a core and then branch out into a much bigger nebulous, and that bigger group is supposed to dictate what that core works on. We're supposed to get influence from them to make our action items. So we're working for the larger coalition, right? But it gets complex, and it's very dangerous to have a slippery slope where disagreements all of a sudden evolve into a point that we don't get to do our main mission. And we had to come back to that. And we had someone with a question.
Okay, I think it would be good for Phil to say something about how the Youth Council fits into that. What meeting process y'all use and how you meet in with the larger group.
So we meet before the big meeting, the big coalition meeting, and then we also meet after to speak about the decisions that was made, what part we played in it, and also during the meeting, actually, mainly I facilitate, and so. Like she said, we polled the youth council to see what's their temperature about, any decisions we make on the building or any policies that we have. Once we talk and we connect and we all on the same page, we bring it back to larger coalition, and this is what we were like since it's ran by the youth. So we our vote plays a big part, and our meetings play a big part. So we have meetings weekly with the youth council, and we also have meetings within youth leadership within the youth council to help guide those decisions. So it all plays a big part. And then us coming back to the coalition, to our executive directors, and saying like, this is what we want, this is what we need, and giving it all to them.
How much of your collaboration was already established when you applied for the grant? Like, how much of it was there and how much of it you had to work through after the grant?
None of it was there. Not even a scratch of it was there. I was given the opportunity to call these agencies that I just admired and respected, and saw my youth were growing and benefiting from their relationships with these organizations. And I called each of them, hey, can I put you on this application? Would you join in on this? And they just said, sure, the likelihood of it happening maybe is a stretch, right? But go ahead. And then all of a sudden it went through. It's like, whoa, it went through. Okay. Well, look, now that it went through, let's get real. We got to go to work. And if we're really going to go to work and we're going to say it's run by youth, well, the youth better have a vote that is weighted. That doesn't mean we can bypass the youth if they say no. I hope y'all caught that the youth have an independent vote, and if they don't want me to hire that contractor to do that thing on that roof, it's a no. And I got to take a side. I got to sit down and say, okay, let's convince the youth on who to use for the rest of these buildings. This makes happen, because they are actually weighted with the power to do so. Some of y'all might be a little worried about that, because that's kind of scary to get the youth involved in that pedigree, but that's real. There's a reason why our youth are invested in our programs, because they know they own them and have rights to them and they have power within them. So they want to be there. And it's different when they say, oh, we have a speaker, all y'all sit down and listen. I don't know if y'all experienced that, but they're not engaged and not into it when they're just like, oh, we're going to sit here and listen the whole time? Well,
And I just also want to just do a shout out for Anna West, because I have attended many meetings in my career that not much comes out of them. And so I think what happened was at our first meeting, which was a Zoom meeting, you all with Humanities AMP sort of set the structure. And it has totally radically changed my life. But I think that's part of it. You gave us the structure to work within to be able to push things forward.
Yeah, I mean, we drew a lot of the practices from community organizing, really. Yeah, Humanities AMP, which we use with young people, because if we want young people to partner with adults on social change work, that was the work that we were doing at Humanities AMP, was teaching young people how to actually participate in decision-making and forming, this is some things that school often doesn't prepare people for when you're being prepared to take a standardized test, right? So, but how do you get prepared to be a citizen in a democracy? How do you learn how to affect social change around issues you want to do? So we had to break down the practices and slow them down. And so then we started saying, well, we need to do this with our adult partners and with ourselves. And so that's really where that came from, and of course you got to mention Angel Award winner Destiny Cooper, who, was a big part of creating a lot of that. She and I, when we didn't have the grant yet, I remember we were on our way back from a retreat, and we were like, boy, if we get that grant, this is going to be a mess maybe. And we were like, we probably should go in there right away and say, look, let's try out some of these practices and see if it works for us. But I also want to say that we've developed them a lot together, so the commitment of the people at this table has helped those practices to be further and further developed. We're also using them with Baton Rouge Area Youth Network here in Baton Rouge now, so that's a network of youth organizations, and so we're using the same practices there to great effect, So it's a good process.
Yeah, and lessons learned on our end, they're one of our first Angels of Change grantees, and so we're really pushing groups to do that part first before they apply. So thank you all for shedding light on that process and providing such a great example. So join me once again thanking Youth City Lab on this great example of what collaboration looks like.